over the weekend, one of the biggest news items actually came out of Pro Wrestling Noah. During their card on Sunday, a promo aired where the Great Muta was announced for the Budokan Hall show that Noah will run on January the 1st, and his opponent is going to be Shinsuke Nakamura in his first match in Noah since 2013. And Tokyo Sports had additional information on how this whole deal came together. And from the Tokyo Sports article, Noah had Nakamura listed as someone they wanted to bring in immediately after Muto made the decision to go on this retirement tour. Initially, terms could not be reached, but Noah was persistent with WWE after Vince McMahon resigned as chairman and CEO. The agreement was finalized on October 26th, so last Wednesday. Nakamura told Tokyo Sports that people in WWE were behind him in terms of wanting this to come to fruition. He joked that this is the forbidden door. And Nakamura was quoted as stating there were people. Oh, yeah. Okay. So anyway, that was just the quote itself from Nakamura. So a very big match for Noah to be able to put together. And it feels like Keiji Muto has been the key to Noah having open door policy with all these different companies. I mean, they're going to be working with WWE on this show, and then 3 weeks later with AEW when Muto teams up with Sting prior to Muto's retirement in February at the Tokyo Dome. So were you surprised by this news, Way? And what's kind of your interest level in a Great Muta Shinsuke Nakamura match in 2023?
I think it's pretty high. If anything, for me, it's more so the novelty of seeing Shinsuke Nakamura, a WWE contracted star, wrestling in Japan again. Will we see a different style for a Shinsuke Nakamura match? Obviously he'll be wrestling against somebody who's a bit more limited, but nonetheless, the reception that he's going to be receiving in Japan, I think, will be huge. And it's also, of course, really interesting, to think about what sort of new philosophy about working with other companies this new regime has compared to the last. Would this have something, been possible under Vince McMahon? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But the report, I believe, indicated that they were a lot more willing to discuss, with the regime change. So will we see things like this in the future? A lot of this tells you about, I think, the great reverence, so much of wrestling promoters on either side of the world have for Keiji Muto. If it was a lesser figure, would it be possible? Does this open the door for other working relationships? I'm very curious to see.
Well, there is a precedent from a few years ago when Naomichi Marufuji had his 20th anniversary show. WWE did allow Kenta to go back there to do a singles match with him and even lose on the show. So that was 2018. So, I mean, it's not as though this is completely a different tack that they took, but this is certainly a bigger deal than that. And from the sound of this report, this was not as simple as Noah just making the request to WWE and they made it sounds like this has been going on for a long time for them to be able to finalize this, because it's funny because as closed-minded as they were for so many years, like back in the 90s, like you could do something like this and it's such a small amount that would be seeking out these tapes or stuff like that. If you sent someone over to do an All Japan show or something like that, now it's, this is very accessible. This is going to add so much intrigue to Wrestle Universe for that period of time. And you couple it with the fact that Sting's doing the show in January as well. Like that, there's going to be a lot of attention on Noah throughout this remainder of the Muto retirement. I almost wonder if this is something where perhaps WWE ends up putting Muto in their Hall of Fame next year. If this is a sign of them doing something like that, that would be, to me, a consideration on their part to sort of utilize Muto if they sense value in putting him in.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I mean, you can argue what value did putting Fujinami in their Hall of Fame present, or really Inoki. I mean, it's not like it's necessarily bringing any new eyeballs or increasing attendance for that particular gate. There's a part of me that recognizes that maybe they still they want some international flavor perhaps for their Hall of Fame ceremonies, and I think the Great Muta / Keiji Muto would be really an ideal candidate. They have he's a guy with a pretty relatively big presence in North America. They own a ton of his footage, and I'm sure he'd love to have that big send off on this side of the world as well.
Do you see Keiji Muto doing a moonsault before he retires. He teased
Yes.
it on Sunday's show, and I was like, dude, his knees are so wrecked. Like it is like his surgeon has like told him, like, dude, do not undo all that we have done for these knees. And the fact that he teased it in this match, it didn't deliver it. He was stopped by Makabe, but just the fact he's teasing it and he's going to be doing the dome before this ends. It's like, my God, this guy that's got to be.
Didn't you see the end of The Wrestler, John?
Jesus.
Come on. If he's going to go out, he'll go out with a big splash off the top rope.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So there you go. That's the latest with Keiji Muto. A big announcement for Noah to have a lot of buzz attached to that.